Hello, and you're listening to the Book Was Better podcast, the podcast where we talk about the book of the film. I am Luke.
I'm Sabrina.
And this week we're talking about Underworld.
Hey you, put down the popcorn and turn off the light. It's gonna be alright, my friend. In the end, take my hand. Trust me, the book was better.
Holy crap, it has been too long, my friend. So good to have you back.
Thank you. I've been doing a lot of gaming and watching a lot of anime.
That sounds a lot more fun than reading today's book.
Well, of course, I have also read the book.
No, we don't pretend that anymore.
You didn't tell me
Well,
that.
like, look, you got to think about this, right? It's not a comprehension test. It's not we don't get graded on this. You know what I mean? We barely even get iTunes reviews. I just feel like it's just too crazy to think that two adults read one of these books in order to do this show. So there's always like a kind of a driver and a passenger, like someone who's finding out about it for the first time.
Yeah,
Like a tour guide.
you're my tour guide.
And a passenger, yeah.
I'm quite impressed now, I can say then. I'm quite impressed with the amount that you typed out from the book.
Yeah, so you have
That's amazing.
seen the movie. You
done
know
a lot
what
of
this is
work.
about. Now you're going to hear some of the book, and you're going to be able to decide, which is the whole concept of this thing, was the book better?
Oh, it's great. I don't have to pretend that I read the book anymore.
Was it better
It's liberating.
than gaming and watching anime? No, probably not. And I was fucking hungover yesterday as well when I read this bloody thing. And I've got to admit, it was a struggle. It was one of those times where I'm thinking, 186 episodes, maybe that's enough. Maybe we've said everything we needed to say about novelizations. But got through it. You know, when we looked at books, I said Underworld was one of them. You jumped at that. I'm very curious to know why.
Oh, Kate Beckinsale. That's pretty much it. Just thinking about the promo image of her in a tight leather pants outfit thing.
Does combine quite a few of my favorite things. I like pale, lily white English people as well, with her porcelain skin, which we're about to hear a lot about. So yeah, I find it very attractive. In fact, in Britain, I guess they would refer to her as a bit of top drawer totty.
Is that a thing? I'm
think
very
so.
gullible.
Yeah, no, I think so.
You could make up anything and I'd probably be like, oh.
Notice that it's based on the screenplay by Danny McBride,
Yeah, I saw that in the film.
but unfortunately not the same Danny
Oh,
McBride.
it's not that guy from
No.
like Tropic Thunder.
I think there'd be
No.
more dick jokes
Yeah, I was thinking.
in there if
It's
if
not
it
that
was
vulgar.
if it was that Danny McBride. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's not that many explosions or any explosions, I think.
doesn't have a lot. No one gets totally baked. 420 blaze it up. Nothing like that happens. It's all pretty straightforward. So yeah, I love Kate Beckinsale. So she combines quite a few of the things that I like. I think the only thing would make her better is if like she was there in her leather with a trestle table full of cupcakes and she was having a Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, that cake improves anything, really.
That's right. There's a clever play on words there. So, yes, Underworld. Now, I never got into the series when it came out. I don't know why, actually. Like, there weren't that many genre movies around at that time. So I don't know why I didn't want to,
Yeah, that's
in
odd.
2003, go and see a vampires versus werewolves
Did you watch it since then?
movie. Yeah, I have. I watched it not that long ago for the first time, and I realized I didn't remember anything about it. And when I started reading the book, I was like, oh yeah, no, I have seen this. But I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if I'm just sort of like tone deaf to Underworld. My attention sort of wanders, so I don't follow it. But I find it really dense, and dense in a very MacGuffin-y kind of way, where she sells MacGuffins at the Kate Beckinsale. In the sense that, yeah, it's a lot of, oh, we're after this thing because this will do this.
Pretty complicated.
And it's all just nonsense. It's tied in with a lot of the lore. And then I think as well, the film, although it does have some cool shots and some iconic sort of moments, it's all so colorless that it all kind of just blends into itself.
Well, yeah, people say the film's very blue. I think it's all graded to that kind
Yeah.
of gothy. I think that's the thing. There's not much memorable about the film. It's all visuals.
Yeah.
Like, the plot is not actually wide, in my humble opinion, which is not important.
Yeah, it is important, and you're allowed to have it, and you've got a global forum here, so let them have it.
I feel like the people who love the film, people that I know who love the film, are people who are really into costume design, people who like visuals, they like action, but they're not necessarily that fussed when the plot isn't that great.
Which is interesting, because we're about to look at a novel which takes away...
There's no visuals.
Yeah, it takes away that imagery, and is really more focused on plot. And when you were just... there was a review for the film, and the film didn't get great reviews, but obviously it hit the audience because there's been a billion of them made. And you always get a sense as well, like later on when we look at the Amazon reviews, if there's a lot of Amazon reviews, you really know that this is something that took off. But this particular review said that it was tedious, and that was a pretty good word for it for me when, like, I found it repetitive and tedious and characters. We're going to the mansion, we're leaving the mansion, we're going back to the mansion, now I'm going to run away from the mansion, but now I'm coming back to the mansion. And I got really frustrated with it. I think as well, the vampires werewolf thing sounds great in theory. But one of the issues I have with vampires in popular culture is that there's always these like societies and hierarchies and like vampire committees that are formed. And, you think, oh, vampire, that's cool. Like, you get to drink a lot and have sex all the time and turn into a mist and be a bat. And
mist.
Yeah, and, like, wear cool clothes and just be badass. But then you go, oh, no, but then there's all these foppish nobles that are giving you rules all the time.
Yep.
And it's just rules, and committee meetings and paperwork.
It's the same as being a human. Right?
Yeah, vampire bureaucracy, and they're corrupt, and it's always some, like, foppish vampire dickhead leader that nobody likes or trusts, and you just go, it's too much work. Why can't you just be a vampire and have fun with it?
Yeah.
That was the problem with, did you ever watch Being Human?
No, I never did.
Yeah, because I love that, that's the vampire werewolf and a ghost living in a share house in Britain. But, yeah, as it sort of got into that second season particularly, there's a lot of, but here are the vampire society, and here are the rules, and here are the leaders, and here are the people coming in going, well, you really shouldn't be doing that, or you've got to do this, or we're not allowed to do this. And you're just like, you're a vampire. Why all the rules?
Yeah.
Just loosen up. Chill out, vampires, is what I'm trying to say. So, and this definitely suffers from that, because you think, oh, she's so cool, and then you go, oh my god, there's people she has to put up with, and...
They're holding it back.
They are holding it back. Like, she's a death dealer, just let her go out, deal death, and have some fun. Anyway, this book is written by Greg Cox, and he's the author of a lot of stuff, some of which we've done on the show, Godzilla, Man of Steel, Dark Knight Rises... and as well as quite a few movies, heaps of time, books for TV series, Star Trek, Warehouse 13, X-Files, Buffy, everything. I mean, there is so much there that I imagine that this guy must write a Star Trek novel every week. And, of course, because he does so many, I'm sure they are all incredibly high quality. Like some of the best stuff you'll ever read.
I have a question about, like, movie novelizations.
Yes.
Which you would be an expert on.
I am
naturally.
an expert. I am the world's
Do they get
foremost.
edited much?
No.
Submission? Like, do they just kind of print as is?
I don't think they do get edited much. They're usually full of typos. And
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I think it's like the intern editor usually gets that job. But also, I'm pretty sure from everything we've heard that the studios and the publishers aren't really concerned about the contents.
It's just like an advertisement on the bookshelf, you said.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea is it's a mini movie poster, and you go into an airport or something, and there it is on the shelf. So they're really just pushing your interest in the film. And you certainly see that in that really cynical way that Disney, for example, and I love Disney, but in terms of their publishing, when they do their tie-in books for Marvel or Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever, they don't even have an ending. You know,
What?
Yeah, they cut out the last third of the movie for spoilers.
This book's too long. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like Captain America
Oh my
ends with
God.
like he went off to face the Red Skull and he was going to do his best and hopefully he would take him down and justice would reign, etc. And that's it.
Oh.
Like the Iron Man 3 one, it doesn't even reveal the twist as to the villain.
Wow.
Like it doesn't even go there. And we read that the first time we encountered this was one of the Pirates of the Caribbean where he goes looking for the Holy Grail. Is it the Holy Grail? Yeah, I think it's the Holy Grail. Oh, the Fountain of Youth. You know, you go through this adventure of him trying to find this thing, and the book ends before he even does. So, yeah,
Oh,
it's
Disney.
crazy. So you see, it really is just advertising. It's like,
But then these days, you don't actually see a lot of bookshops around. Like, there's bookshops are dying. Like, our big bookstore here closed down, and there's not actually many places you can buy books anymore.
Yeah.
So are there less and less movie novelizations being made?
I don't think so, because I mean, if you look at what's come out this year even, and there's stuff that I would love to do, like even things like Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage has a novelization, you know, so quite a few movies from this year, so they're still doing it.
Oh, that's good.
But from my perspective, and sort of this is real inside baseball, where this could be interesting to folks, my perspective is that I don't really want to do books that are in the current release window for the publishers, like things that they're currently trying to sell. I think doing stuff that's sort of out of print or has had some time, but I don't want to go, well, we're going to read the beginning and the end and all these excerpts from a book that you are currently,
Gotta watch in the cinema.
Well, yeah, and that you're currently trying to sell. But I just think that cynicism of, what Disney does, it's like a kind of peep show thing, isn't it? It's like you're just about to see the good bits, and they're like, okay, go and insert more money at the cinema in order to find out how this story ends. Like,
It's a bit crap.
yeah. So there you go. And like, I can understand that initial spoiler thing, but then what life does that book have?
It's not really a complete book.
Yeah,
It's
like a year after the film. So anyway, so this is Underworld by Greg Cox. Let's start with the beginning.
Are you going to read?
We'll share this one. Let's go sentence by sentence for the beginning.
All right, but it's been too long. Since
That's
I've
all right.
done
Well,
it.
that's fine.
Budapest was no stranger to war.
Over the long bloody centuries, the Hungarian capital had been captured and fought over by a succession of conquerors. Huns, Goths, Magyars, Turks, Habsburgs, Nazis, and Soviets, before finally reclaiming its independence in the concluding decade of the 20th century.
I think based on the movie, the Goths are still there.
Definitely
The Goths have never
A
left.
lot of pale people with eyeliner.
But all these merely human conflicts were fleeting in comparison with the shadowy, ageless war now being fought in the moonlit streets and the alleys of the ancient city.
A war that at long last might be nearing its end. Which is bullshit, because we know there's about 12 other films, right?
Well, it's another 300 pages.
And another 300 pages. So,
At least.
Don't prick tease me, Greg Cox. Cox tease me. So, let's meet our protagonist, Celine. And we always ask when a female character is introduced, is she hot? And I've heard rumours that Celine is, she's pretty easy on the eye. So, let's see if Greg Cox agrees.
Another figure crouched beside the petrified gargoyle, very nearly as still and silent. A beautiful woman, clad in lustrous black leather, with long dark brown hair and alabaster skin. Heedless of both the storm and her own precarious roost upon the narrow ledge, she gazed grimly from the rooftop. Her striking chestnut eyes were fixed on the teeming streets beneath her, even as her sombre thoughts looked back upon centuries of unremitting warfare. Could it truly be, Celine reflected, that the war is almost over? Her elegant face, as pale and lovely as the moon goddess after whom she was named, was a mask of cold-blooded concentration, betraying no sign of the restless anxieties troubling her mind. It seems unthinkable, and yet...
Something you'll find in this book, I'm going to call it out early, is that characters in their thought process constantly overstate and restate like ideas that we've already gotten in the prose. So in this example, like, he'll say, the war's almost ending, and then you'll have pages
Could
of
it be
Celine
the war
going,
is almost over?
it feels like the war is, and that'll happen for pages,
Oh,
where
it's
she'll be like,
painful.
I don't know if I should, do I like the fact that the war is ending? I don't know. In fact, here we go. Here's another example. So she's a death dealer, which is a vampire who has the job of killing their enemy lycans, which are the werewolves. They call them lycans.
They're not the fungus that grows
Not-
very slowly.
Not the fungus. They are fungi. But they are lycans. I'm not liking it, personally. But there you go. And she's been fighting, killing these guys for centuries. What will I do when the war is over? The shapely vampire fretted, facing an eternity without purpose. What am I if not a death dealer? So there you go. I like that for two reasons.
Shapely.
She's shapely. I love that you were reminded of, here's someone going through an existential crisis and it's like, but she's got curves for days. Yow! And she's still contemplating this idea of, do I want the war to be over? It's like, well, you could have thought of that before you jumped up on that roof. An angry hiss escaped Celine's pale red lips. Even in human form, the roving lycans filled her veins with hatred and revulsion. Their present shape could not deceive her. She knew full well that the two ruffians were not really people at all, just filthy animals masquerading as men. So, some takeaways here. She's super hot. She's also super racist. And, of course, she's looking at two lycans in human form that are down on the city streets.
Yep. Long dead images flash before her mind's eye. Twin girls, no more than 6 years old, screaming in mortal terror. An older girl on the verge of womanhood, her throat savagely torn open. A silver-haired man in antiquated
You're right.
attire. His skull cracked open to reveal the pulped grey matter of his brain. A cozy parlour, its sheltering walls liberally splattered with gore. Mutilated bodies and limbs, once belonging to deeply cherished souls, ripped asunder and cast aside like crimson flower petals.
So this is the bind I'm in. She's racist. She's crazy. She's got a totally fucked up past. But she's so shapely. I just feel like, I think I'm still into her.
Yeah, that's what they want you.
I want you to think. So her family have been murdered at some point in the past.
That's actually not in the movie. They don't reveal that until later.
Till later on, yeah. So she has these flashes of these things. But you can see, like, I don't know what to think of the writing in this book. Like, it is pretty overblown. I admire the fact that he is trying to fill 400 pages and that he's really sort of digging into everything. But, and it's more full on than the film is in terms of the gore and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, cast aside like crimson flower petals. It's just, it's all just a little bit too flowery.
Flowery.
Flowery, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Probably could have found a better word there in this context. But Celine is about to fight the two unsuspecting werewolves, and we leap to chapter 2, which opens with a shit and an American.
Shit! Michael Corvin thought as he dashed for the metro entrance, holding his hands above his head in a futile effort to keep from being soaked entirely by the nocturnal deluge. Get it?
Yes.
He's been soaked entirely by a nocturnal deluge.
Yes.
Deluge?
Deluge.
I don't even know how to pronounce
Deluge?
anything.
Yeah.
Del-
It doesn't matter. It's just funny, though, because he...
Because
Yeah.
he's being soaked. Anyway, sounds like he's having a great time. The young American kicked himself mentally for forgetting his umbrella back at his tiny apartment. Just my luck we had to get the storm of the century, he thought, shaking his head in good-natured bemusement.
Surely he's carrying a pizza or something that he can shelter under? Or do you think, like, he left the house and he was like, oh, but if I carry an umbrella, I'm going to have to put down one of these hot dogs. You know, I can appreciate
he's
the bind.
American,
He's American. He's in a strange country where everybody is just, like, weird to him. So he's out of sorts. He's getting wet. And if you are thinking, like, well, how is this movie book nearly 400 pages? It's because of the padding. Although Budapest had boasted the first underground metro system on the continent, constructed in 1894, the blue M3 line had been in operation only since the 1970s, As a result, the Ferencic Square station was sleek and modern looking, with spotless tile floors and pristine graffiti-free walls. Michael fished a pale blue ticket, good for 30 days, out of his pocket and fracked it in the machine in front of the nearest turnstile.
Look, he did some research. I think he's just trying to take everything he's got from Wikipedia and paste it into his book.
Yeah, and also, though, like, don't you... Like, I don't want to just see someone go through a turnstile. I want to know about the ticket. I want to know how many days are left on this
Unnecessary
thing.
detail.
I'd like to know what he's saving, to be honest. Like, what percentage? Is it better to do it this way to get the 30-day pass? Like, if I was going to Budapest, what should I look into? You know, it's become a sort of travel
For 30
guide.
days, yeah.
It's
A bit unnecessary. And the colour of the ticket to buy.
yeah, every single little thing he's doing, this guy's like, I can get a sentence or two out of this, because otherwise we're not going to hit 400 pages. We're going to
I
have
feel like he's doing like a NaNoWriMo or something, and he's like, I've got to get out my... Was it 10,000 words? How many words do you need?
50,000.
50,000.
Yeah, but that is what these books feel like. You said that about editing, and I don't think they're edited. And I feel like a lot of the time people start off and they go, all right, and we do the same thing even with the notes when I'm reading it. They go, all right, well, I've got to make a meal of everything. Like, I've really got to make this happen. And then they get to this turning point where they go, oh, I've only got 50 pages left. And then they just go woof, and rush through the ending. So all this detail, and then suddenly it's like, oh, and he died. The end. He spies, this is the American, Michael, spies the sexy Celine.
For an endless moment, their eyes met. Michael found himself drowning in enigmatic chestnut-coloured pools that seemed to hold unfathomable depths far beyond his ability to probe or comprehend. The mystery woman returned his gaze, her eyes seeming to penetrate all the way to the back of his skull.
Putting that vampire pussy on a pedestal, this is a bit overdone, isn't it? I mean, like, she's an attractive woman, but come on.
It's Kate Beckinsale, though.
Yeah, but look, come
Kate
on.
Beckinsale.
Come on. And Scott Speedman. What happened to Scott Speedman?
I don't know. I feel like he's been in stuff, but I can't actually name any of it.
He's dead.
What?
No, he's not.
Oh my god.
So, what do vampire werewolf battles look like? It turns out they look a lot like The Matrix.
Panic flooded his dark mahogany face, and he reached beneath his own jacket and whipped out a modified Uzi. Blood! He shouted in a deep... That wasn't very deep. Blood!
Blood!
That's better. He shouted in a deep, basso profunda voice. What is that?
I know, like, that's what I mean. That's just overdone, isn't it? You don't need to say
think that's
it was
Italian.
a basso profunda voice. I guess that's a deep voice. But he's already said deep.
No, yeah. Gunfire erupted from the muzzle of his submachine gun, turning the crowded metro platform into a scene of utter panic.
And isn't this like, you know, like in The Matrix with people hiding behind columns while they get, like, smashed up by bullets and
Yeah.
stuff, and all the big jackets flying
Oh, yeah.
around?
Trench coats.
Yeah. Like, it almost completely... I know later on there's some actual vampire werewolf kind of tussling, but you're like, okay, Wells, vampires, and then it's just all bang, 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 bang.
Gunfights,
And you're like,
yeah.
oh, hang on, you're not really using what you've got. And innocents are getting caught in the crossfire, of course. There's some collateral damage here. The tangy scent of the girl's spilled blood reached Celine's nose, causing her mouth to water automatically. None of that now, she told herself firmly. The drinking of innocent blood had been strictly banned for centuries. See what I mean? Like, rules, rules, rules. It's like, oh, yeah, we used to eat cattle, and then we got synthetic blood made, which is like every fucking modern vampire movie does that. It's a cliche now.
Well, I guess they don't want them to be seen as the bad guys straight away.
Let them just, like, live it up. I mean, come on. They're vampires. Why neuter our vampires, like, before it's even started?
Yeah.
So, the lycans, they've created these UV bullets, which they used to great effect on Celine's friend Rigel. Rigel? I haven't mentioned Rigel because he's not shapely. There was no lingering descriptions of his body, so, except for this.
Rigel staggered clumsily, fighting to stay on his feet, his once seraphic countenance contorted with indescribable pain and suffering. As Celine looked on in horror, rays of searing light erupted from his wounds, blazing forth from the jagged tears in his dark leather attire. The blinding effulgence burned through the vampire's transfixed body, incinerating him from the inside out.
So it is overwritten.
There is a lot of big words in there.
Well, and just
I
unnecessary
know what they mean,
as well.
but it's
Like-
difficult to read.
Like, what do you get out of using countenance instead of face there? Like, beyond the fact that you're just doing it. Whereas countenance is so poetic. Which seems like, I guess he's saying that he's like got an angelic face and then he's using countenance for that. Or even leather attire, like using
love
attire for, you know, you're describing someone getting the shit busted out of them and it's like a little bit sort of dapper fancy pants.
Yeah.
And I'm not like doing this whole, you know, oh, smart people, big words. I'm just like, is that the most effective way to like get this across? To
No.
paint the,
Well,
you
there's
know.
too many words. It becomes difficult to read.
Yeah. And it sort of slows it down as well. Like, you're talking about action. You're talking about, like, really visceral, full-on, fast stuff. And I feel like I'm reading Little Lord Fauntleroy. So, while I don't understand everything that's going on here, I did realise that I always appreciate shurikens. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I love them. With a ferocious roar, he pounced at the vampire, who surprised him by twisting around at superhuman speed and hurling 4 coin-like silver discs at the charging werewolf. Razor-sharp blades snapped out of the discs, turning them into deadly silver throwing stars, shards of jagged pain mixed with feral rage as the flying shuriken sliced into the werewolf's massive torso. He reared backward, growling in fury, his claws slashing fruitlessly at the air. "Goddamn blood!" he howled inside, the angry curse emerging as an inarticulate snarl. "You'll pay for that, you sneaky bitch!"
Shapely sneaky bitch.
Shapely, sneaky bitch. That's what this film was called in Japan when it was released there. You know how, like, Wayne's World was the clever and rambunctious ones?
Oh, was it?
This one was the sneaky, shapely bitch. And, yeah, that works for me. Yeah, shurikens. I realise every time someone uses them in a film, like, I feel like I remember it fondly. I think of my favourite bit in Hot Rod, where Ian McShane throws a shuriken at Andy Samberg and it sticks into his chest. And I just watched that Netflix movie, I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, with Melanie Linsky and Elijah Wood. And Elijah Wood's kind of like this suburban ninja wannabe.
Oh, cool.
Sort of like the kind of guy Jermaine Clement would normally play. And he throws some throwing stars.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Sounds funny.
So, let's meet the leader of the Lycans, played by Michael Sheen. And there's
I
a
love
lot
Michael
of...
Sheen.
Yeah, but they're all really hammy, aren't they? Like, this material's kind of beneath them.
Although deceptively slight in appearance, Lucian carried himself with the carriage and bearing of a true leader. The unquestioned master of the Lycan horde, he had an air of polished cultivation that his uncouth subjects sorely lacked. His expressive grey eyes, long black hair, a neatly trimmed beard and moustache gave him the look of a somewhat urbane Jesus. His hair was combed back in a widow's peak, exposing a lofty brow of Shakespearean proportions. In other words, he had a large forehead.
Like, talk about overdone. So this is Michael Sheen, and he's compared to both Jesus and the works of Shakespeare in the opening paragraph describing him. So, new wing next to the Pussy Museum, where some penises are being put on the pedestal, and Michael Sheen's is the first exhibit. He's I feel like he's got a lot of love for Kate Beckinsale.
Oh, I get it now.
Now you get
it.
it
Before.
But
Really
he's got a lot of love for everybody. And then we go to the fancy vampire mansion full of vampires who are said to be wearing the latest fashions from Chanel and Armani.
Oh, really?
And we meet Craven. So let's see how this description goes. The standing mirror offered 3 equally flattering views of the vampire lord's Adonis-like physique. A mane of shoulder-length black locks gave him the romantic dash of Heathcliff or Byron, while his well-built chest and biceps were impressive even by vampiric standards. Piercing black eyes looked back at him from the centre mirror, liking what they saw. There seems to be a formula here to describing one of these guys. You do a religious reference, like to a god.
Oh, yeah.
Or a son
Adonis,
of God.
yeah.
And then you do a literary reference.
What's Heathcliff or Byron?
It's Heathcliff is well, Byron would be like Lord Byron,
Well, who is that?
like poets and shit.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm really literarily good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know stuff about
Look,
things.
being able to read or know stuff or anything, it's not a prerequisite
Yeah.
to do this show.
That's good.
It never has
That's
been. Good. God, you should. Have you heard some of the guests on here? Holy shit! I'll put my cat on. Should do a better job. So yeah, basically Celine is like, oh, we should go kill all these werewolf pricks, and Craven's like, nah, not today, eh? Can't be arsed. And he also refuses to believe her claims that the werewolves were following Michael the American after that hamburger in his pocket, no doubt. So, all right, now, look, this starts to get more complicated. There's a guy called Singe.
I think they say what his name is in the movie.
Yeah, he's a scientist.
He's just a random crazy scientist.
Yeah, and he's testing the blood for the werewolves. He's looking for a pure sample of the Corvinus bloodline, and Michael is Michael Corvin, so they want his blood, I think.
Yeah, it was hard to follow even in the movie.
Yeah.
They want him. They want him bad.
They want him so bad. These vampires are so hot for Michael Corvin. It's unbelievable.
No, the werewolves.
The werewolves, yes. They love him.
Singe understood, however, that science was a matter of trial and error. Sooner or later, we're bound to locate just the right specimen. He thrilled in anticipation of that glorious day when they would finally gain the means to dispose of their vampiric cousins once and for all. Yeah, but how does that work?
Yeah, it doesn't tell you. You're like, oh, we need this thing to get rid of the vampires. Okay, how?
Is that meant to be a suspense thing that they only reveal at the end?
I don't know.
I think it might be.
I wasn't that excited
you weren't
about
that
it.
suspenseful
No,
about
I
it.
wasn't. I was ready to just close it up and go something else. I was fine.
Snack time. Yeah.
I was just like, okay, well, good luck with that. The end. Hope it works out for you. Anyway, Celine goes looking for Michael because she figures he's the link here. The grungy apartment building was a far cry from the stately decor of the manor. The carpeted hallway was badly in need of vacuuming, while the plaster walls were scuffed and cracked in places. So yes, thank you, adult novelization, because I'm always interested in the upkeep of the carpet.
I feel like she might do rent inspections part-time.
Yeah.
Celine...
That's a good call. It does
job.
sound like the note you would get from an estate agent. Like you come back and it's like, carpeted hallway was badly in need of vacuuming while the plaster walls were scuffed and cracked in places. And,
Bond will be deducted.
Yeah. Clean the oven. More thrilling details here.
The apartment was also devoid of guns, drugs, pornography, or anything remotely illicit or dangerous.
Yeah, why not tell us what else wasn't in the apartment? The apartment was also devoid of tigers, bears, swimming pools, shark tanks, ninjas, spiders, bear traps, icebergs, snake pits, nunchucks, cyborgs, nail clippings, Venus fly traps, peanut butter. Like, that's a good way to pad out a couple of pages, in my opinion.
That would have actually been fun.
Yeah. Let your imagination run wild. Go off
Yours
script.
did.
Yeah, sure did. Do you think this is a bit Freudian?
So she fingered the rubber tubing thoughtfully, while wondering just how long she intended to wait for Corvin to return home.
Sitting there thinking of Michael
Fingering her rubber tubing.
rubber tube. And then when he does appear, this happens. Michael reacted in surprise a second before a shadow exploded from the darkness and viciously slammed Michael against the wall, pinning him there. He glimpsed a feminine face obscured by the darkness. Powerful fingers, amazingly strong, gripped his throat tightly. A cold, hard voice demanded answers. Who are you? Why are they after you? Michael was too shocked and bewildered to reply. He glanced down and was startled to see that his feet, were a good 6 inches off the floor. How is that even possible? He wondered, dumbfounded. Who the hell is this? Darth Vader? He thought it was Darth Vader.
Because Darth Vader has a feminine face.
Yeah. He thought it was the shapely Darth Vader.
The shapely.
Come to get him.
Leather-clad Darth Vader.
I don't want to go to my apartment alone. I'm scared there might be a Darth Vader waiting for me. Of course it's not Darth Vader, you dickhead. Honestly, he watches too many movies.
He wishes he had written the Star Wars novelization.
He watches a one movie too many times. I should change that too. And then the werewolves attack.
Who was that woman, and what were those animals on the roof? It sounds like a jungle safari gone wrong out there, he thought, feeling as though he were trapped in a particularly incoherent nightmare.
You and me both, Michael. Don't look, his thought processes. This is going to become a theme. This is the thing that I became most obsessed with in this book. His thought process. He is a dumb fuck. Like, I understand that this is your opportunity as an author to explore the thoughts and feelings of the characters. You're not allowed to really change the script, but you can go into their thought processes. So imagine, this is a guy, you've come into your apartment, this crazy lady has picked you up and held you in the air, and then wild animals are running around your roof. And you are thinking, who the hell is this, Darth Vader?
He's
and then
supposed
you're
to be
like,
a medical student.
sounds like a jungle safari gone wrong out there. Hey, has anyone been playing Jumanji? Like, why would you think that? And what does that even mean? You hear animals. Isn't that a jungle safari gone right?
Yeah.
I just don't get what he's...
He's actually meant to be a medical student or a doctor or something. I think he's a specialist,
in training,
actually.
yeah.
Oh, in training.
Yeah.
So you'd think he would be fairly intelligent. Then again, he's a surgeon. Anyway.
Burn. Tugging on his ankle, she effortlessly dragged him across the floor of the elevator toward the lobby beyond. Before she pulled him completely clear, however, the other man lunged at him like a blood-soaked demon, sinking his teeth into Michael's shoulder. Shit, he bit me! He yelped in shock, feeling razor-sharp incisors slice deeply into his flesh, but the strength of the mystery woman was too powerful to be denied. In an instant, he was yanked away from the piercing fangs and into the lobby of his apartment building, where she rapidly jerked him to his feet. I just noticed he was pulled, yanked, and jerked.
Sounds pretty good.
I know.
By Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale, yes. And her...
I just noticed that Michael bit Michael as well. Michael Sheen.
Yes, that's
Michael
true.
Corvin. Anyway, yeah.
Who was really Scott Speedman.
Yeah.
So... Yes, so he's been rapidly jerked to his feet, which is like being jerked awake, I guess. And he's infected now. Yep. And they have his blood.
They took a blood sample from the bite.
Yeah, I think he just spat it into a little cup. And they test the blood, and it's the good blood that they want for some reason. So you know all that other blood was...
How do they have a test?
Bad blood?
Where do they get this test?
Do you reckon if this movie was made now, every time the scientists checked the blood and it wasn't right, that Taylor Swift Bad Blood song would play?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they would be like all frustrated because they've got bad blood and they wanted the good blood. Someone can edit that together on YouTube. So
I'm just thinking about the song now, but I'm not going to sing it.
You can if you
Just
want.
going to think about it in my mind's eye. That's really effective for a podcast.
In your mind's ear. It's probably where you want to put that. Celine takes Michael back to Fancy Vampire Mansion, which pisses...
FVM?
Yes, the old FVM. This pisses Craven off. Michael escapes. And I mentioned Michael's thoughts. Here are some of them, like just isolated over the couple of pages.
Oh, okay, so these weren't all in a row.
No.
Because the way you put it out, it looks like...
No. So these are... I've just handpicked his thoughts over the few pages as he escapes. I have to get out of here! Screw this! Where the fuck did that come from? I think I would remember jumping through a glass window. Bye-bye, doggies. What's happening to me? I don't understand any of this. Am I going insane?
This really wouldn't be too out of place at a poetry slam night.
I'm telling ya, he is an absolute dummy. He's like one of the Amazon reviewers. So Celine takes a shower, and you just think, oh, hello, and you ease into your seat, and you think, this is going to be like a sexy sequence.
Yeah, it could have been.
It's not. She instead ponders how showers work.
Oh, it's boring. Billowing steam filled her private bathroom as the invigorating spray pelted her flesh, at long last washing away the sweaty, muddy, bloody residue of her ill-fated excursion to the city. Dirty water collected at the bottom of the pure white marble stall, circling in the drain before disappearing into the mansion's plumbing. Celine wondered how long it would take the bloody stream to reach the dank city sewers where she had battled those two lycans.
That's some expert padding. She's in the shower and she's thinking, I guess this water goes down the drain and then I guess like it goes through some pipes.
Might go to the sewer,
I suppose it goes to the sewer. I've never thought about that. Great, riveting stuff. And now Celine is suspicious of Craven, who is said to have killed Lucian centuries ago. This is Craven's claim to fame. He's like, I killed the head of the werewolves, but she's pretty sure that Lucian's still alive, and then he's the one that bit Michael. Like, is what you said, Michael Sheen. Bit Michael
spoilers.
Scott Speedman.
Yep.
So she does this thing which you're not supposed to do. She wakes up the ancient vampire leader, Victor.
Which is Bill
Nye, which is a really rude thing to do. So there's 3 elder vampires that are all in chambers hibernating, and he gets woken up. So let's hear the description of this guy. After nearly 100 years of unbroken slumber, Victor bore little resemblance to the regal monarch she remembered. The skeletal figure on the slab looked more like a mummy than a vampire, dry, withered, and seemingly lifeless, like a collection of fragile bones shrink-wrapped in papery brown skin. His closed eyes lurked at the bottom of sunken black sockets, while his desiccated lips had peeled away from his gums, exposing yellowed fangs locked in the death's head grin. Once powerful limbs were now spindly sticks wrapped in jerky-like strips of meat, and his plunging abdomen had collapsed below the exposed ribcage. Black satin trousers spared her the sight of his shriveled manhood.
Wouldn't that have disintegrated over the years?
So, look, he's a vampire. They're immortal. I don't know why he's so rough after 100 years of sleep. You'd think he would be fine. You'd think he'd be ready to go. I just couldn't get over. I'm thinking, like, I'm trying to picture Greg Cox writing this. Because it starts fine. And I just think, like, his mind is wandering there. It's like, okay, so he's a spooky vampire. No, mummy, and he's all brown and dry, and I could really murder some jerky right now. Oh, jerky. Hey, I wonder what Bill Nye's cock looks like. Shriveled, apparently. Here's the explanation, though, of how this thing works, this shared leadership.
It's quite confusing. The everlasting cycle of the chain served 2 vital functions. First, as an ingenious power-sharing arrangement among the 3 elders, avoiding conflict among them by ensuring that only one of them was in command in any given century, and second, to provide each elder with a much-needed respite from the demands of eternity.
Yeah.
But nobody's awake.
No, so who's
at the
leading?
beginning.
Yeah, because Craven's just like a vampire noble. He's not really the leader, so I don't know. I don't know how
what's
that
happening.
works. And like these are immortal beings that go rampaging around for centuries, but like these ones that are supposed to be the most badass of them are like, I'm
gonna have a nap.
Yeah. I've been doing it for 100 years. I need a little sleepy time. Bullshit. So Victor is pissed off. Craven is pissed off. I'm pissed off at this stage. We're in deep. Michael's still not following the plot at all. Michael wasn't sure he had heard her correctly. Vampires and what? Werewolves, she added, noting his disoriented expression. Lycanthropes. Michael's jaw dropped. Are you kidding me? He thought in shocked disbelief. Vampires and werewolves? What did you think this was? Some dopey horror movie? This is the 21st century, for Christ's sake, not the Dark Ages, dickhead. So yeah, he actively fights the story for most of the book.
Is that why? Add some new pages.
Yeah, he's just like, nah, that's not true. I don't believe you. What's going on? What am I going to do? In fact, here are some more of his thoughts. This is when he goes to Celine's house. Again, these occur over a couple of pages. Werewolves and vampires, oh my god! Step into my lair. Emergency medical supplies, he wondered queasily. Or dinner. I mean, come on. Vampires? Do vampires not have to worry about infection?
Was this like in the context of STIs? Thinking
I think
about
so.
Celine and
Maybe,
stuff?
yeah.
Maybe
yeah,
he's got an STI and he doesn't want to give it to her.
No.
I
So
don't know because I haven't read the book.
it was when he goes to her like safe house and he sees all the medical equipment where they take the bullets out of the werewolves
it
so
just
that
hasn't
they
been
don't die.
washed.
Yeah, and it's all a bit gross. And he's like, ooh, yucky. Meanwhile, Craven is getting busy with Erica, who's like, she's like a vampire sort of lady servant-y person.
Yeah, so Craven likes
Celine.
Celine, which is Kate Beckinsale,
Yeah.
but Erica
Cupcakes, 3
wants
for $5.
her place, basically.
Yes.
Craven's icy lips explored her breasts, his keen teeth teasing first one nipple, then the other. Craven's strong hands gripped her rump, his demanding grasp leaving its imprint upon her pliant flesh. She ran her fingers through his luxurious black mane, clinging to his unbound hair as though her immortal life depended on it. Erica could not believe her good fortune. Finally, her most fervent fantasies were coming true. Lord Craven was making love to her, not Celine, not Dominique, not any of the other girls. The regent of the manor, the ruler of the coven, he had chosen her. She had arrived. He drew back his head just for an instant and used his sharpened fingernail to slice a small half-moon beneath her left nipple. Erica gasped out as loud as her blood began... Oh, man. Erica gasped out loud as her blood began to leak from the stinging crescent-shaped gash.
Yes, so she's got a stinging crescent-shaped gash, and he dies of ingesting silicon. Poor bugger. Yeah, that's pretty full. Is that in the film? I don't remember that.
I think not that specific part, but they were just kind of doing stuff and making out and stuff.
They were making the many-backed beast. Here's some more Michael thoughts. And I thought she was my last best hope. This is insane. 1 minute you're kissing me, the next minute you're telling me that I'm gonna turn into a monster? Just like the Lone Ranger, he thought irrationally. Thanks a bundle, Kemosabe. And Michael becomes a werewolf, and his transformation actually takes place over multiple pages. Like, it's a good 3 or 4 pages describing his change. Here is a little bit of an example of it.
A violent spasm rocked Michael from head to toe. His back arched in agony, as though he were undergoing a jolt of electroshock therapy. He bit down hard on his lower lip, missing his tongue by only a fraction of an inch. His heart pounded like a war drum beneath his breast, even as the cartilage around it began to crackle and crunch. Abused tendons twisted and snaked, causing blood-wet bones to shift position painfully.
His entire skeletal structure started to reshape itself. Horrified, Michael pulled up his t-shirt and watched, mesmerized despite his torment, as his ribs snapped and cracked before his eyes, cascading like piano keys beneath his palpitating skin. Holy fuck, he thought. In 8+ years of medical training, including several grisly stints in the casualty ward, he had never witnessed anything so astounding or grotesque. Human tissue was not supposed to act like this, damn it! I quite like the horror and sort of torture of the transformation. I think
that's pretty good.
Yeah, anything where you can put yourself into that position and kind of imagine it, I think is effective. And
you can draw up your own t-shirt and look at what's underneath.
So look, bless Coxie for giving us that one. And it turns out, so the whole plot is they want to cross the vampire and lycan bloodlines and create a super powerful hybrid, which they can only do with the right blood. They need that Corvinus strain. And Craven and Lucian are working together and they want to do it. They want to cross the blood, but Victor doesn't. And Victor apparently killed his daughter because she was going to give birth to a hybrid. And hybrids are really bad or good, depending on whether you're Victor or Craven or Lucian or something. And here's what usually happens when you mix these 2 blood things.
Both species briefly coexisted within a minute sea of plasma. Then, just as it always did, an instant reaction occurred. The opposing blood cells turned on each other, consuming the enemy and hemoglobin in a pyrrhic orgy of mutual destruction until not a single viable cell remained. And for years we failed, Singe confessed. It was useless. Even at a cellular level, our two species seemed destined to annihilate each other. He paused in somber contemplation of innumerable failed experiments until a painful twist of Celine's fingers prompted him to continue. That is, until we found Michael.
I like that description of the opposing blood cells in the pyrrhic orgy of mutual destruction. I think that's really cool. That's a good way of sort of getting your head around what normally happens.
Yeah, some of these descriptions are kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just that he doesn't pick his battles for me.
He describes everything.
Yeah, everything's like that. And it's like, no, pick your moments. Like, find the times when you want to speed us up and get us interested. And otherwise, like, is it always necessary? So we basically now get into that really dense third act gubbins, which I always skim over. Michael gets shot with a silver nitrate bullet. Celine has only one option to save him. Surrendering to a profound longing she had not dared to acknowledge before, not even to herself, Celine opened her mouth wide and sank her fangs deeply into Michael's throat. Yes, she thought ecstatically. At last. Chocolate crackles, 10 for $5
Yum.
at my baking sale.
I'd buy it.
So Michael's now a hybrid and still an idiot. But he's part vampire, part werewolf, part dickhead.
Michael didn't know exactly what it was that he had become thanks to Celine's miraculous kiss, but he knew that he was now something infinitely more majestic than just a simple American medical
I
student.
could have just stopped at simple American.
Bring on the vamps and the wolves, he exulted, reveling in his newfound courage and vitality.
Go Vamps, go Wolves, USA, USA.
So bizarre.
So I'm doing a Wikipedia save. You don't know about the Wikipedia save.
No, what's that?
Basically, when you get into this really dense final plot bit, which would cause me to have to pick out like 10 excerpts to explain it, instead of just summarizing it myself, I'll just grab it off Wikipedia.
You know what you should do? Was the Wikipedia better than the book?
Yes, it was. It was a briefer. So here we go. Craven flees after killing Lucian. Victor arrives and admits that he killed Celine's family, though he believes she should be grateful as he spared her and made her immortal. He reveals the truth of his love for Sonia. We don't know who Sonia is, 'cause I didn't mention her. That his choice to have her killed was
his daughter.
Was to protect the vampires, and that he must now kill Michael to protect the vampires. Celine eventually kills Victor with the assistance of Michael, who is now a hybrid. Celine and Michael leave the lycan lair, now enemies of both species. And here is the bit where she kills him. This is pretty badass, so I thought we should do this. Let's share this.
He stepped forward uncertainly, and Celine held up the sword.
The edge of the silver blade was slick with newly liberated blood.
Victor's jaw dropped, spilling more blood into the murky waters below, and he realized that Celine had struck him already.
But I created you, his mind protested, overcome by the tragic irony. I made you who you are.
A thin red line materialized on Victor's lordly countenance.
You can't do countenance
He doesn't
twice,
do
pal.
face. I think he did a replace every face.
You gotta choose. That's the thing. You're gonna use words like that. You gotta choose when you're gonna use them. You put them in all the time. It's fucking meaningless. Then you look silly. The crimson streak ran from the elder's left ear right across his cheek and all the way down to his collar.
The useless daggers dropped from his gloved fingers as he reached upward in a panicky attempt to hold his immortal head together.
But it was a wasted effort.
A frisson of razor-sharp pain flashed through his nervous system as fully half his skull slid off, splashing into the gloppy water.
Lost half his skull, and you should have been there. The noise it made was just like a beeping phone. It was incredible.
This was actually one of my favourite scenes in the film. I was like, this is great. It's so stupid.
I
But
like that she has a sword.
it's fun because it slides. The head, it slides.
Slides off.
Yep.
Okay. Here we go. This is the epilogue. This is the ending. Hours had passed in the silent crypt. The body of the lycan scientist Singe had gone stiff with rigor mortis, but his immortal blood continued to creep slowly across the marble floor of the underground chamber, treading its way through the intricate design containing the sacred tombs of the elders. The sanguinary tide passed by Victor's empty niche, then Amelia's. So you can get all up in Amelia's niche.
Well, who's Amelia?
She's the other elder, so there's Victor, Marcus,
I
and
forgot.
Amelia.
Okay, yep.
The VMA in the FMV. FVM. Yet with perverse inevitability, it came to rest atop the polished bronze plaque bearing the sculpted letter M for Marcus. Rivulets of lycan blood seep through the edges of the burnished hatch, slithering downward into the sepulchral cavity where I'm reading this cold, by the way. I'm doing a pretty good job considering. Where Marcus, the last surviving elder, hung upside down inside his tomb like a slumbering vampire bat. The energizing blood poured over Marcus's emaciated frame, streaming down his skeletal body, and I've said that word 3 times already, until it reached the thin, withered lips of a skull-like face. Minutes passed until a dormant heart began to beat with growing strength. A sigh escaped the parched red lips, and a pair of hungry eyes awakened deep within the sunken recesses of their matching sockets. Jet black eyes, just like Michael Corvin's had become. Hybrid eyes. The end. So there you go. So Marcus sounds like big trouble because now he's a hybrid. And probably not as big an idiot as Michael, which makes him more dangerous. So I don't know.
Yeah. I haven't forgotten what happened in the next movie, so
I have too. And
we'll have to watch it or read it.
Or read it. I think they did do books of all of them. So there you go. I might get desperate enough at some time to find out. I kind of want to know now.
You might want to have a bit of a break from
a little bit of a break from the Underworld.
I need an animal book, one of those.
Oh yeah, look, every time you can tell when I'm getting sick of it because suddenly it's a book about a cat or a dog because they're always dumb. All right, so that's the end. That's Underworld. I've got to ask, as I always do, was the book better?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to say better than something else. That's why there's such a long silence.
Better than what we just did.
Better than the Wikipedia. Was the Wikipedia better than the movie?
Well,
That's the real question.
I have chosen a slice of bread once or twice when given this question.
Over both?
Yeah.
I would say the movie.
The movie? I'm going to have to go with the movie too.
Kate Beckinsale, Michael Sheen.
Yeah.
It's kind of hammy, but it's fun. Just don't take it too seriously.
And I really like Kate Beckinsale, so there you go. I would definitely attend her baking sale.
I would.
Yeah. Get her layer cake. Get all up in her pudding. I don't know what that means. All right, I went to Amazon. There were 42 reviews. So
shit, that's a lot.
People really love this stuff. I've only picked a couple of them. I thought this one was interesting. It says this is a 3-star review, and it is small.
Well, what does that mean?
I don't know. Because the book's not small. It's like 400 pages.
Did they actually write small?
Small is their review.
Okay, let's read on.
All right, here's one. The books were good if you like the movie. It's exactly like the movie. You don't need to read the book. There was no changes. Even a lot of the dialogue was the same, but the book was still good because I liked the movie. I think you liked the movie.
I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, it was a good sentence though, right? And this last one is all the same person. Underworld is a wonderfully plotted movie, and Marcus, Amelia, and Victor, I thought they only had 3 masters for the vampires, was because if they only had 2, they would be copying Anne Rice. But I see now, lol. It has such surprising twists, and I love the fact about vampire and werewolf. Lucian and Sophia's bittersweet love story was so sad. I nearly wanted to shed a tear, but I didn't. I just felt so bad. One thing that shocked me was the fact that they described Erica and Craven's intimacy. I was shocked because I wasn't expecting nudity in the movie, but I'm okay with that. I just wanted to say that. So there you go.
Talk about someone who hasn't edited what they've written.
Yes. Yeah.
What is the fact about the vampire and the werewolf?
Oh, I love the fact about the vampire. Well, that's... maybe they're just building suspense.
Yeah, maybe.
I think the fact is that they're all dum-dums. So there we go. That is Underworld. Fantastic. So, anything that we missed? Anything you wanted to add about the film, the book, the life in general?
No, I think that's about it, really.
We've done it.
Yep, finished.
We've done this. Oh, are you team vampire or team werewolf?
I like the vampire's outfits better.
Yeah.
Look, and Kate Beckinsale.
You've got to go for the baking.
You could get cake items, like
pastries, pies.
Baked goods. Can't go wrong.
Perfect. A jammy donut, probably.
It's pretty jammy in there.
Anything you want. She'll whip it up. And the prices, very competitive. So, you know, she's thinking a lot about her fate. I think she should get down to the fate and set up a baking sale and whip up some lamingtons or something. I'm going to stop
hungry.
wasting everybody's time. Thanks for listening. And do you remember the thing you say? So, actually, I've got to say, go to fruitlesspursuits.com to find out everything else we're doing. There is FPcast. And if you go to our Facebook page, our not our like regular page, but our discussion page, our group, I should say, there's a link to that on Fruitless Pursuits. You will find that the first half-hour episode of the new podcast that Jacinta has put forward, which is a history podcast, and I'm the co-host on that, and we talk about a bloke and his donk, and it was a lot of fun. So it is hosted on Patreon, but we've made that available for everybody to have a listen to. So go check that out. Lots of cool shit going down. I should probably put that podcast on the website as well, but we'll get there. So thanks for that. Thanks to you. And yeah, do you remember the thing? Catch you on
the flips.
Jumanji! It's like a safari gone wrong out there.